living takes place on Yom HaShoah. That's why the calendar is always with the March. If your friends ask you, how come you know somebody a few years ago that went, it was early April, it's tied into the calendar, and it's tied into Yom HaShoah, and the beginning of the Warsaw Ghetto Uprising happened after Passover, 4 days after Passover. That's why we're leaving the day after Passover. And the March of the Living always takes place on Yom HaShoah. If you want to think about it, this year is 10,000 of us. We're going to be marching from Auschwitz to Birkenau, about 3.5 kilometers. And it's going to be with 10,000, mostly young people like you, mostly, almost all Jewish, a very small group of non-Jews that will come. Marching for the most part in silence, because we choose to do that out of dignity and out of respect. No matter who else is standing on the sidewalk, no matter what else is going on. And within Broward County, we've developed our own tradition pretty much of linking arms and walking together. And I will say for most of us, to walk 3.5 kilometers without talking is quite a challenge. It's hard to do that. But we kind of feel that silence is a very loud sound when it's a very large group. And when you walk with your head held high, there's a certain presence that you have that can't be captured anyplace else.
What's your side candle? Yeah.
The Yahrzeit candle is it's a candle that you light on the anniversaries of people's death.
Excellent, excellent. Now, how many candles, how many hours would it take? This is really a very interesting question. If we stood a minute in silence for 6 million people, for each of 6 million people, how many minutes would it take, or years would it take? Okay, you want to hear the answer? It's a big answer. The answer is, if we stood a minute in silence for each of the 6 million, it would take 12 years. Does that explain to you the word 6 million means so little as a number, but if you had to spend 1 minute on each person, it's 12 years. Does that make the 6 million seem more?
10,000 Jews from around the world. There'll be a small portion of non-Jews who are invited to attend from Poland and from surrounding countries. But most of us will be about 10,000. The way the march starts is we are going to, every country or every region has a certain area within Auschwitz where you're designated to meet until the march starts. And depending upon whether we're recognized as America or the United States, we're going to be either the front of the march or towards the end of the march. Unless we can pull some strings, being Broward region, maybe we can get up near the front. The way the march starts is the chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Lau, is in the front line with dignitaries and politicians and some famous people, and we never know who's going to show up until the march starts. Usually the march starts with the shofar, and if you listen carefully, you'll hear the resounding sound of the shofar throughout all of Auschwitz, which in and of itself is pretty remarkable. Then the march starts, the dignitaries walk, and then after that is the Israeli region, or the Israeli contingent, marches right behind them. They always wear white hats. They're both pretty easy to see, a white hat with the blue stripe. And after that, then every country follows. Am I right, Irene? Every country follows according to their region with the banner that says where we're from. Everybody's wearing a blue jacket. We're expecting this year to be very warm, however, so we're going to be getting you t-shirts to wear for the day that we march. So we're going to be set off, everybody, we set off by region, but it's going to look like one big group of people who look pretty much the same. It's a tradition in Broward County that we march in silence. Many regions throughout the march are also walk in silence, but it's a tradition, and we walk in silence out of respect and out of dignity for the 6 million. We link arms or we hold hands, and for the 3 kilometers that the march is long, we walk pretty much in silence. There are opportunities along the way to stop and take pictures, because I don't think any of you have walked in a march of 10,000 people And it's truly a phenomenal sight. And Debbie mentioned before about pride. It's all about pride. We're marching for others who couldn't march. So it's really a phenomenal experience. Once we get into Auschwitz, there's about another, I guess, mile where we walk down the railroad tracks to a area at the end where there is a ceremony. Most people sit around and sit down on the grass and just relax, or you can go and go meet your friends, or you can meet people from other regions. So you'll have an opportunity to meet other marchers from around the world. The ceremony is usually interesting. There's usually a candle lighting. Number of survivors, Ira, you participated in this. Number of survivors will come up and they'll light these big torches in memory. And then there are a few speeches, and then it's over. We sing that tekfir, and we head back to the buses and we're on our way to Warsaw. So that's pretty much the experience. It's hard to put into words what you feel, but you will see Israeli paratroopers and soldiers and Navy people, and there'll be banners, Jewish, Israeli banners throughout the entire camp, and it's just a phenomenal experience. Bob?
One of the things that I guess younger people don't know is this wasn't supposed to happen. Hitler had the final solution, and I can't talk enough about the emotion of understanding that none of us should be here, period. And reverting back to what you were talking about before, having been here during when Irene was in a camp, anti-Semitism was a very vile thing. And we didn't get any people saying, 1,300 of you can go to Harvard, or you could go into medical schools. In fact, it was just the reverse. There was a minimum number of Jewish students that could go to college. The world has changed, but I don't think we should forget that that happened, and that's the important thing of this. We're stamping on his grave.
That's, to me, is the most important part of the march, is that we're there, we're walking. I've done this walk with my wife and my daughter and my son, and it's just a phenomenal statement to say that we are here and they're not.
We're making a statement when we march, definitely.
Exactly. Anybody have any questions?
No words have to be spoken, just marching and looking around, breathing, looking behind you at the sea of all of us, let's forget, from all four corners of the world. It's
It's true. It's true. I still remember the feeling that I had the day of the march. And it's something you won't forget. But we just want to give you the right protocol. And the protocol is silence. And I think it's a time for you to think. You know, meditate. First of all, thank God that we could be there. And thank God also that the people who were perished are being memorialized by us. They're not forgotten. They're not forgotten. And I think it's a very important factor that we are there and we have a role to play to bear witness. Every one of you has to bear witness. There will be a time when you'll be called upon and you have to say, I saw it. This is not a lie. I saw it. I saw it with my own eyes. I saw what it looked like. I saw the march. I saw the camps. I saw what no human being should have to see. I saw it. You will be a witness. It's a very serious kind of obligation that you're taking upon yourself. It's something that's really very, very, very important as a Jew.
You see it, and you smell it, and you touch it.
We will be touring Auschwitz and Birkenau the day before. So there'll be time to see the different barracks and different buildings, and actually be able to experience the camps rather than just showing up and trying to see everything and then going on the march. So it'll be sufficient time for everything. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.